In Spain, officials in the northeast of the country say at least 35 people have been killed in a train crash. Eyewitnesses say all wagons of the train derailed at Santiago de Compostela. Dead bodies are reportedly strewn over the immediate area next to the trackside. Now, many of the passengers, it's believed, would have been heading to a religious celebration at the town. This has now been cancelled by the organisers in the wake of this tragedy. Rescuers and emergency crews, as you can see, are still working on the wreckage. Appeals have been issued by the local hospitals for blood donors and for any doctors in the area to come forward. So the train was going from Madrid to Ferrol. 218 people were on board, plus the crew. Injuries, as you say, extensive. Something like 200 people have reported injured so far. That figure remains vague. And officials in Galicia, the province concerned, saying that 35 people have been killed. A very shocking scene there. Well, let's bring in our correspondent, Sarah Morris, who's observing this story from Spain. Sarah, what can you add?
Well, that figure of 35 was actually given by the head of the government in Galicia, Alberto Núñez Feixó, when he was asked by the radio what the latest figure was, and he said that there was no final figure, but that they didn't think it would be any lower than 35, because he said the emergency services still had to look at one of the carriages which had been totally destroyed. The other carriages that have been bit by bit gone through gave him that figure of not any less than 35. Dozens more are seem injured, and so that figure could certainly rise. No official figure has been given other than that one, Mark. And the scenes on the ground are quite devastating. As you said, there has been a call in the local area for blood donors to go to the hospitals of Santiago de Compostela, really to ensure that those dozens that have been injured can be treated as quickly as possible. Also a call for doctors. Still no signs as to why this train derailed. Some of the witnesses have talked about the carriage just suddenly turning over on itself and pulling all the other carriages with it as the train came into the station under a bridge and round a very sharp bend.
Sarah, there must be many ideas, theories, speculation about what actually happened. But what we can say is that for everyone concerned, this is obviously tragic. And for the area too, this must be devastating.
It's absolutely devastating, because the town was gearing up for its biggest annual celebration. There would have been real fireworks, and the city comes alive at this time. And those festivities have had to be put on hold for the moment out of a sign of respect. There are dozens and dozens of family members calling an emergency helpline just to find out whether their loved ones have survived this accident. The queues of ambulances and emergency workers around the city are quite striking in some of those scenes. The night is falling, and that will make life harder for the emergency services as they go through that wreckage to look for survivors. Devastating for a town which is very tight, very traditional, and was looking forward really to days of celebrations rather than this tragedy.
Sarah Morris, for now, thank you very much indeed. We understand Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy on his way to the scene as well. And just to remind you, Spanish officials, as Sarah Morris was saying there, say that 35 people at least have been killed in this tragedy at Santiago de Compostela, the train derailing on its way into the station.